So here we are at it again in the red Cougar, and this is its current state. I'll get into why it's like this in a few minutes, but first an update on why I haven't posted a video in a long time. I mean, I don't have that many subscribers, or I don't know who cares, but anyone who knows knows. But since my last video of working on this car, it's been months, I know. So the reason why I was kind of forced away from making YouTube content for a little while is my regular job, they tried to fire me over something I had very little control over, and I'm not going to get into it in detail, but they tried to fire me. The union fought for my job, but the company still pushed for my termination. And what they did was effectively they suspended me for long enough that I needed to get another job. So I did, and that took a little while, and I'm with a better company now. I actually didn't lose my job at the other company. They did get back to me some months later, and they wanted to put me back to work in a different location. And I basically, in a nice way, told them to go screw themselves. I'm staying with where I am now. So, update on the red car here. I'm not keeping it. It's parts car now. I'm parting it out. That's why the gas tank and the exhaust is in the back. I pulled that out because I needed the vent valve from the tank right there. The grommet for the vent valve on the 93 was all screwed up. Reusing it was not a question. So pulling this gas tank out to get to that, luckily it was in good shape. I'll show you here in a minute. But that's the state where it sits now. It's not very parted out, but so here we are back in the 93. I've decided to keep this car because it's just easier for it. It's already registered and everything in my name. I got insurance. It's just easier to get this car going again. And it's crunch time now because I got to get it through inspection soon. In fact, the tag is probably going to expire before I get it through inspection. So hopefully I can get it through just with the late fee. And hopefully it'll pass inspection and emissions. And after that, I'm going to try and get a hot rod title for it, which I found out you can do in the state of Delaware. You have to limit your driving, but after that, after it passes emissions to get the hot rod title, it never has to do it again. Here's the gas tank ready to go back into the car. It's just been sitting back here waiting, along with a whole bunch of other parts I ordered that have arrived while I've been working my new job and got some money in the account. Now I'm ready to go back at this. Kind of windy out, I apologize for that, but another thing we salvaged from the red car is the hood lift assists. They were still in great shape, so I don't need no more hood stick. Another thing I ordered was that right there, fuel pressure gauge. And this thing, I've been slowly piecing it back together. I still can't find that EGR down tube. I'm gonna hope somehow to get it past emissions without it. But even if it fails, it'll be enough for me to get a temporary tag and give me another month to come up with a solution. So I also got the power steering hoses reinstalled. I have to trim this one down and reconnect it, but once that car's ready to go, all I got to do is fill it up with fluid. The variable power steering assist valve. I thought I was going to have to replace this and convert it to a regular power steering, but I actually found the O-ring kit to reseal this, because that was what the problem is these two skinny O-rings on the inside of this collar here were just leaking. That was all that was wrong with this. And as you can see, these O-rings are that's a very specific size. You're not just going to find that on the shelf. I was lucky enough to find this kit on supercoupperformance.com. That's where I found a lot of parts for this car. If you got one of these cars, that's the website you need to go to. Shout out to those guys. Or that guy. I won't say his name, but I actually talked to him on the phone. He was a pretty decent dude. So, get these old O-rings off. I think I did replace these outer ones at one point, because this one's so big I have to dig it out. I think I was thinking that's what made it seal, but No, those are the two skinny ones, and of course, like I said, you're not going to find them on the shelf. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but look how deformed it is. It's not even round anymore. It's kind of got like a trapezoid shape if you look at it like that. You see, right here is what I'm talking about. And this collar should slide off. This collar is important because that's where the high pressure line screws into. And yep, it just pops off of there. And then here's the two inner O-rings that are supposed to seal this inner chamber full of fluid. And these things, I'm willing to bet, are original equipment to the car. Alright, come on. Yep, they're nice and hardened. Look at these ones. They're not round anymore either. They're like square. Seems to be a good enough match. The new ones seem a little smaller and tighter, but giggity. Oh yeah. I'm actually going to give these a little dab of power steering fluid to lubricate them, and also because that's what they're going to be going into. Okay, let me see if I can do this without making a mess. Bring the fluid to the edge of the bottle. Bring the ring in it. Spread it about. First one installed pretty painlessly. Oops. Dripped a little bit of fluid. That's how you do it. Oh wait, I think I'm going to put this collar back on first. And now, oh crap. I may have to go back and look at the video to remember how this went on. So, after reviewing the footage, I determined it goes on this way, with the little ringed edge part facing toward the part that screws into the valve, or it screws into the power steering pump itself. This is the valve. This screws into the pump. So yeah, like that. Thankfully I was recording so I can go back and look at that. Most people don't do that, so remember how your stuff comes apart. And you remember how it goes back together too if you do. Okay, last one. Oops. So we can actually use some of that fluid. Oh, O-ring went flying to the concrete floor. Not good. Shop towel to the rescue. Okay. Willing to try that again. Fluid to the edge of the bottle. There we go. Just enough to just to touch it. And spread it all over the ring. And slip it in place. For this I will use my hook tool. These are new O-rings. When you're doing this, you want to be careful not to poke or tear it with your hook tool. You just kind of want to use it to help you push it on over the edge. You mainly want to be using your fingers for this, but there we go. Get the camera set up as best I could. Now it's important when the valve goes in on this car that this end screws into that hole there. This has to point back towards the firewall, and this has to be somewhere up near the top. It doesn't have to be exact. It swivels all the way around, but somewhere up like that, the electrical connection can easily get it. The electrical connection, and of course this with the two skinny O-rings on there, it's supposed to be able to move a little bit, but that's so you can have it pointed the right way. And this fitting is 1 3/16 size, and that's what you have to spin to spin the middle part to torque it. Now I don't have it, but I do have a giant adjustable wrench. It is actually a high quality one, so before anyone yells at me about using an adjustable wrench, just remember this one has been good to me, and it's not a low quality crappy one that beats up hardware. This is kind of the hardest part, is getting it started. Oh, there we go, threads are in. Kind of easier to just do it by fingers right here until you get it almost there, and then use the wrench to finish it. Now, amazingly, that all these parts spin around like this. This part doesn't leak. It was the O-rings inside of this collar that were the problem. I think I might have said that already, but just to reiterate. A nice tight fit going back in, so that's reassuring. Start wrenching it on top of the electrical connection. That's smart. Oh, that's tight. All right. You see? This just hit the point where it won't turn anymore. I'm not applying any more torque, but as you can see, it's nice and good. You can see me struggle with it on camera. I'm sure I came through good, but yeah, like I said, collar pointed back toward the firewall, and then the connection is right here. Boom. Now I'm going to struggle with the high pressure power steering line. By the way, I don't know how well you can see it, but I already went ahead and rebuilt the low pressure power steering line since they don't make it anymore. But luckily it's just 3 rubber sections I had to replace with trans-Kohler line, and there's metal bits that connected in between all the way to the steering rack. And since it is a low pressure line, I know it's missing a clamp right here, and you see that, but I gotta get more clamps. But I basically rebuilt that. That's in place, ready to go. And once I get the high pressure line in, power steering has to be filled up and it's done. Something I didn't notice when I bought my new pressure line here is that there's a big hole in it for this pressure relief valve, I think this is, which I had to take off the old one, which thankfully I still have. It's right there in that bucket, grimy thing. I should have recorded me removing this, but I also noticed there's an O-ring here that is also, as you can see, worn out. But luckily I have some generic O-ring kits, so I'm going to see if I got one that fits. Alright, score for the generic O-ring kit. I did find the right size in there. And as you can see, here's the new one. all nice and round and thick and new. This one, not old, not round. So, wasn't difficult to figure out the size. It was that one there. 7mm inner diameter, 11mm outer diameter by 2mm wide. Is that O-ring. Now to install it. Installed. And I got the pressure cap. Oh, there is a lid that goes to it here. Now that that's installed, there is one thing that sucks about this new high pressure line that I noticed. There was a bracket on the old one right about here. If I can, let me show you. Where is it? Yeah, this bracket here bolts to the subframe, but it doesn't look very removable. Maybe, I don't know, I'll take a closer look, but that bracket does not exist on here, so I guess this thing is supposed to be free hanging. Here is that part from the gas tank I said I salvaged from the 97. The grommet is still intact and in great shape, which is what's important, because here's the one that came off the 93, and look at this thing. Yeah, which is a shame. The valve is still good. Reusing that grommet is, this thing is, I mean, that's completely out of the question. But I'm still going to hold on to that valve because it's still a good part. I'm now just holding on to parts, whether they're good or not, from this car, simply because I don't know if I'll ever find a replacement. Oh wow. So this has just been that loose this whole time, huh? Is this thing even coming up, or is it just spinning? Hang on. So confirm, it did not break loose. That's just spinning in place. Great. Alright, I tried the vice grip and the wrench method, and that worked to get the bolt all the way up to where it met the vice grip. But trying to put the vice grip any higher and torque it any further is not working. It's just spinning in the vice grip. So, time to go to the destructive route. Wonder if I can get a hammer now or something. No, that's on there. Maybe I can get the rubber off. Yeah, there we go. Nice hot rubber. Okay. The metal cutting. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. What the hell that... So, apparently I'm cutting into the part of the shock where the pressurized oil was, and it sprayed out all over everything. And luckily not too much got all over the camera, just a few drops. It got all over my tripod and all over things in the trunk. It's great, I have to cut it all. There's the thing moving on its own. Well, yeah, I have to have my assistant help me hold it up so I can, I mean, I might as well continue cutting through it. It's already, you know, already halfway through. Well, finally, after a few minutes of cutting and struggling, we got it the rest of the way off. Here's the top of it, and yeah, look, the gas pressure just goes right all the way up into the stud where I was cutting. Is that normal? I don't know. Alright, it's the next day after the shock oil incident. Cutting happened. Shortly after we got it a little bit cleaned up, we were hit by a sudden thunderstorm, and that ceased all progress for the day. But it's a nice enough day today, kind of windy, so I get back to it. We got most of this cleaned up, got a little further to go. Now it's time to finagle this big hulking tank out of where the back seat of this car would normally be. It's all cleaned up, ready to go, just has to be assembled. Getting it out of here by myself should be fun. Okay, not that bad actually. I've got the car's tank back into a state of reassembly with the wiring harness. I got the vent valve with the good grommet in place. I got the vent hoses mostly attached. Just got to take this off with the main hose. I got the car, it's all jacked up, and I had to remove this wheel, not only to help make getting the tank in easier, but also this when I took the fuel hoses that connect this filler neck to the tank, I took them off the 97. There's the shock that we cut. I took them off the 97. I found out they're different sizes. It tapers down and the one on the 97 is smaller, but the tank opening is the same size. So the hose wouldn't fit on this one. So simple fix is just take the filler neck from the 97, put it in here. And I can remove the shock while I'm at it. It's too bad I had to cut it, but if I didn't have a parts car with a replacement, I wouldn't have done that like so hastily. But I've already done this once on the red car, and all the hardware came apart easily and went back together easily, so I know it's going to be a breeze. I just hope that bolt down there doesn't give me the same trouble that this one did. I gave that a good soaking in PB Blaster. I'm going to work on getting this tube out now. And upon opening this flap, there's another yellow jacket nest to evict. And looks like I have to remove the center panel. I mean, I know I do. I had to do it on the red car. But the thing is, on this car, I got to put it back on. Alright, so some progress made. I got the shock off. With some foot-pounds of torque, using my foot on the wrench, I finally broke it loose. Tank's right here ready to go. And here's the two filler necks from both of the cars. You see this bigger, robust one is from the 93. Looks all impressive and everything, and I'm going to hold on to it. I'm not getting rid of it, but here's why I have to change it, because when I pull the fuel hose off for this one, as you can see, I get out of the sun, those are two different sizes. But they're the same car, so this one should just fit with the smaller, the hose that tapers off smaller. Plus, this one has an anti-fill this one has a little anti-siphon door, and this one does not. So there you go, upgrading the security in my car. Even though it looks rustier, I'm pretty sure it's in better condition. Alright, so I got that pretty much installed. I got the tank ready to go. I got to put the lines back on it. I cleaned the electrical connections. I got to cut that tape off and shove the hose on it. But yeah, ready to start lugging this beast under the car. And off camera I did the filler neck right there. I also put the rear drive shaft loop back on. I didn't think any of this was interesting enough to film. So all that's back together. You see the rear drive shaft loop there. Area is clear, ready for the tank to go back in. I just hope I can manhandle this thing back in myself. At least the tank is empty. Oh, I bet I forgot the fuel line clips. Yes, I did. I found the fuel line clips. I had them with the new fuel filter I bought. Smart of me. Now I can continue with this. You can watch me continue to struggle. Oh no. Already a problem. That vent valve is not going to clear. Please these go up a little higher. Careful. Ooh. That didn't sound good. That's high enough now. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. Check the other jack. All right. And that's how you do that. See, from this angle, hopefully you can see we got the main part of the exhaust back on. You can see the exhaust pipes sticking out there. We did that off camera. There was a lot of things done off camera with this car, and I apologize for that. But part of the thing is I'm in a rush to get it done. Plus, started editing the video, and I realized it's starting to get kind of long. I was hopefully, I did want to get this car to run in this video, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Hopefully in the next one, I got to get the exhaust manifolds back on it, get the oil changed, and get everything wired back up. Get the spark plugs plugged back in, that is. And then, yeah, hopefully this thing will come back to life. We'll see you in the next one.